Of all the things we do to prepare for the future, picking up new skills or not feels like a personal choice. But with AI, it shouldn't be. Over the past year, I've explored and tested just about everything AI and identified 7 must-have skills. In a moment, we'll break them down in clear, simple terms, starting with skill number 1, understanding the basics of how AI thinks and actually works. Imagine a day like this. In the morning, you go for a run with your smartwatch tracking your pace, you get a traffic alert on your phone before you commute, an automated email delivers the latest headlines, later at lunch you quickly translate a menu at a new restaurant, and finally you let your robot vacuum clean your house while you relax. Good job, buddy. Every single one of those moments is powered by a form of artificial intelligence. But, as we only focus on the basics, this simply means knowing at its core, artificial intelligence is a computer system designed to mimic human intelligence. So back in the day, the approach, often called rule-based programming, was like giving a machine a very detailed instruction manual. You, the programmer, had to input the data, you hard-coded every algorithm for decision-making, and then you got an answer. There was a problem though. We have a limit to the complexity of the rules you could possibly write. For example, you could never manually program a system to recognize every cat picture or to understand every nuance of human language. But all that changed when we let the machines develop the rules on its own. This approach became the subfield of machine learning, where computers are given massive amounts of data, but none of the hard rules or algorithms are pre-programmed. So with this method, a computer could learn to recognize a cat simply by reviewing thousands of pictures that humans have already labeled. This is machine learning. And when the data isn't labeled or structured, when the system learns from raw and organized information, that's called deep learning. Nowadays though, when most people talk about AI, they are usually referring to something more recent, a new subfield called Generative AI. It's distinct because it doesn't just recognize patterns, it can create text, images, video, audio, and much more. These are the tools you've probably heard of and maybe even used, like ChatGPT and Google Gemini, DeepSeek, and many others. Now, how do we get the most out of these models? Well, that brings us to our second essential skill, the art of prompt engineering. Take a look at this image. It's a simplified view of a generative AI model's brain. And as with any system, the quality of the output depends entirely on the quality of the input. That's what this skill is all about, learning how to write better instructions. The more specific, structured and coherent your prompt is, the better the results you'll get. So, how do you structure a great prompt? You want to give the AI 5 things: a role, a task, context, constraints, and a desired format. But let me give you an example. Let's say you ask ChatGPT for help with your personal finance. You'll get a response, but likely you'll be vague and overly generic. Now, try this instead. Assign it the role of a professional financial advisor, give it a task of developing a personalized financial improvement plan, add context like whether you are focused on saving, debt reduction, or investment planning, set the constraints, such as keeping the explanation simple, and define the format. Say 100 words overview followed by a 3-part action plan. The difference in results is like flipping a switch. That's prompt engineering in action. Oh, and I actually built a free tool that can take any single one-line prompt and turn it into a fully structured one using everything we just talked about. You've got to give it a try, but only after you learn the next skill, using AI for data analysis and decision making. Honestly, this one gives you more real-world value than anything else. Think about it. Data analysis gets boring and complicated really fast, but it's incredibly important if you want to make smart decisions and well-informed decisions. So, There are a few key ways you can use AI to help you work with data more efficiently. The first is identifying patterns. Let's go back to the personal finance example we used earlier to illustrate it. If you upload your financial statements into a tool like ChatGPT, it can quickly spot trends like frequent expenses, seasonal spikes in spendings, or even connections between your income and larger shopping decisions. And once we have identified those patterns, the next step is extracting insights. For example, it might flag that you are overspending on subscriptions or a huge portion of your budget goes towards eating out. Finally, there's visualizing the data, which is still a bit of a challenge. Even with the most advanced models, creating accurate charts or graphs doesn't always work well. They often miss the mark or make mistakes. So, when it comes to using AI for data, the rule is simple. Use it, but always verify it. Skill number 4, vibe coding. The dream of coding just by typing plain English has been around for decades, but it only became a semi-functional reality about a year ago. Today, we have a whole ecosystem of tools to choose from, all promising to let you build a website or an app in just a few hours, even with zero coding experience. Now, I've got to say, I've tried them all, and that promise is only half true, although things are advancing insanely fast. The big advantage of learning this skill is even if you've never written code before, you can still build a basic prototype of an idea. You just need to speak English, have a laptop, and maybe spend a few bucks on a subscription. However, there are two major cons you need to be aware of. First, you won't be able to build anything complex, at least not yet. You'll hit a ceiling very quickly where the AI can't understand your vision or handle advanced logic. And second, these tools have none of the creative spark, so the idea, the most valuable part of the process, will still be entirely up to you. But if you are serious about building something useful, the next skill you'll need is AI agents. Alright, so imagine if AI didn't just answer questions, but actually got things done for you. Let's dig into that for a minute. At the simplest level, an AI agent is just a program that can perform a multi-step task on its own, kind of like a digital assistant. And just like there are different tools for different kinds of jobs, there are different types of agents built for different kinds of tasks. Some can draft emails, some can update spreadsheets, some can move files between apps, send notifications, or even browse the web for you. Others can go even further, chaining together multiple steps across different tools to complete full workflows. We are talking about agents that can plan a trip to Europe, conduct market research for a new product, or even run a full social media campaign. That's the kind of autonomy AI agents are aiming for, because that's the kind of productivity people are actually looking for. But do you know what else everyone's looking for these days?
Act now! We will be with you shortly. A whiter, brighter smile.
Content. Broadly speaking, there are two main ways to use AI when it comes to content. The first is generating something new. We've all seen some version of it already. I'm talking about text that looks coherent but says absolutely nothing. Repetitive radio presenter type voices on YouTube Shorts and revolutionary videos of someone skateboarding on top of a skateboarding washing machine. The kind of content you scroll past the second you see it because it's shit, because it's just AI generated nonsense. Now, the second way to use it when it comes to content actually makes a lot of sense, and that's making it your production assistant. It can be useful at any stage of the content creation process, from coming up with ideas, doing research and finding angles, to improving your audio and visuals, and more recently, even speeding up video editing and thumbnail design. Okay, Last but not least, you've got to master the skill of digital cloning. Imagine being able to have a conversation with a version of yourself just as smart as you, but without the emotions that get in the way. Anytime you have an idea or face a dilemma, you could turn to that version of yourself for cleaner decisions and smarter choices. Well, you can actually train an AI to do exactly that. All it needs is data. Data from your life, your work, your experiences, fed that in, and the model can start projecting your patterns onto future moves. Then you can compare your train of thought with your digital's clone train of thought and see which one gives you better answers. If its thinking offers you high-quality responses, that means high-quality decisions, and over time it gets you closer to whatever goals you've set for yourself, which in reality is just a fancy way of saying you're merging your intelligence with artificial intelligence. And that leaves one final question. With that kind of power in your hands, what would you create?